Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of Guadalupe City Council, Tuesday, August 25th. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Costa Junior,
Here.
Councilmember Fernez. Here. Councilmember Villegas.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
And Mayor Julian.
Here. And we have a quorum. Will you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Hey, Chief. Item number 3 is a moment of appreciation, thanks, or condolences. I know that the Pastor and Dolly pardon was a big blow to everybody. So is there anybody else that, go ahead, please.
Want to give the condolences to the, the Velasquez family. Amy Velasquez passed away
Oh.
August 10th, and a longtime resident of Guadalupe.
Good. Good. Item 4, I'll go ahead and read that. Agenda at this time, the council will review the order of business to be conducted and receive requests for or make announcements regarding any changes in the order of business. Any council person want to change order of business? Gene, you good? Moving right along. Item number 5 is community participation. I have 3 requests to speak. The first is Miss Virginia Navarro.
Hi, my name is Virginia Navarro. I am the team leader for the Day of Hope here in Guadalupe. Our team is Team Guadalupe, and it will be tomorrow from 7 till about 11 or 12. And we will be on the side of the cemetery. There's where the church used to be at. We'll be right there. We will be right sideways from the American Legion, because the post office is where we usually are at. So we're not going to do that this year. So we're going across the street and next and the block over, and we will be doing the Pasadena homes also, the entrance. So make sure you get your money ready for tomorrow. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. Next individual that wishes to speak, Mike Rockland.
We're broadcasting, correct? Tras haberse destinado una subvención anterior de aproximadamente $650,000 al tratamiento de aguas y ante la paralización del proyecto del Teatro Royal, que contaba con una financiación bondadosa, estos comentarios públicos pretenden arrojar algo de luz sobre la situación, si es posible. Desde una perspectiva determinada, el Concilio Municipal es responsable de gestionar la subvención de Grant Writer y los contratistas desempeñaron papeles distintos en los acontecimientos que condujeron a la interrupción de las obras. El concilio, carente de conocimientos sobre la construcción y excesivamente dependiente de los procedimientos administrativos, destinó fondos desmesurados a un diseño inicial. Tras optar finalmente por un resultado menos ambicioso, aprobó sin cuestionamientos una supervisión del proyecto inviable por realizar a distancia, así como ofertas y prácticas de las contratistas que resultaban inviables. Dos ejemplos de ellos son la compra de sillas nuevas y la fabricación de una réplica de marquesina, el letrero, the marquee, antes de haber realizado la adecuación estructural del propio edificio. Sin mala gestión fue tan grave que cabría preguntarse algo afuera de normal. Por otro lado, la falta de conocimientos de construcción de grant writer quedó patente en su intento de supervisar las obras desde Sacramento mediante correos electrónicos, reuniones por Zoom y grabaciones con drones. Lo irracional de esta práctica puede ilustrarse con uno de los muchos ejemplos posibles. Al rehabilitar un edificio de ladrillo no reforzado, la práctica habitual consiste en anclar las paredes al tejado, al techo y al base fundación.
Mr. Rockland, you got 30 seconds to wrap it up, please. All right, next individual who wishes to speak, what do I see? Mira Byler.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. I'm here tonight because I continue to have serious concerns about accountability, openness, and the financial direction of the City of Guadalupe. Every other city department links its monthly status reports as part of the council agenda. Why does the city administrator's office not do the same? At a time when Guadalupe is facing significant financial challenges, the public should not have to work this hard to understand what is happening inside City Hall. At the last meeting, the Public Works update also stated that approximately $600,000 in reimbursable grant expenditures have been recovered. Which projects are these funds associated with? Why wasn't that information included in the report? Why has there not been more information provided to the community regarding the termination of the Royal Theater project and what happens next? This is one of the largest public projects in Guadalupe's recent history, yet the community has received remarkably little information about how we got here and what the financial consequences are. We also need clear answers regarding the approximately $5 million in state funding associated with the Royal Theater. Has the state of California formally agreed that Guadalupe will not be required to reimburse the roughly $3 million already spent on the project now that it's been terminated? Has the state agreed that the remaining approximate $1.5 million can be retained and spent by the city? If so, under what conditions? These are statewide taxpayer dollars, and if Guadalupe is allowed to continue to use these funds for a now terminated project, there should be significant public oversight to ensure that every dollar is spent in a manner consistent with the public benefit and intent outlined in the original funding agreement. These questions are especially important because Guadalupe is in a shocking financial position. For years, community members, including myself, have warned the city that this was headed down an unsustainable path. Yet even after the collapse of the Royal Theater project and in the face of massive budget shortfalls, I've seen very few outward signs that this council or city administration, with the exception of the financial director, fully understand the severity of the situation or have a comprehensive plan to address it. Even more frustrating is that community members with professional experience and a willingness to help have repeatedly offered their support only to be ignored or dismissed. Councilmember Villegas has repeatedly spoken in favor of fewer committees and less oversight. I believe Guadalupe needs the exact opposite. When a city is financially healthy and functioning well, perhaps you can debate whether additional oversight is necessary. But when a city is facing circumstances like Guadalupe, greater public scrutiny and independent oversight are not inconveniences, they're necessities. Outside of two members of this council, I've seen very little willingness from the leadership of Guadalupe to publicly accept responsibility for how Guadalupe has arrived here. The council shouldn't just be getting staff reports and approving what's put in front of you. You're elected to ask questions, especially when things don't add up. We need for you to push for answers, understand where our money is going, and hold both city staff and yourselves accountable when things go wrong. Continuing the same approach that created these problems will only keep Guadalupe on the same unsustainable financial path it's been on for the last decade. The community deserves clear answers, transparency, and leadership willing to acknowledge what went wrong and change course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll now go to item 6, ceremonial calendar, proclamation regarding the centennial celebration of the Cardona Club in America. Just a few words. in the 1920s and 30s, there was a large Filipino population here in the city of Guadalupe. And actually, there's two 100-year celebrations that Progressive Morong is having a 100-year celebration too. So without further ado, Neely, will Gilbert Pandak, Sonia, Julian Vea, and Edgar Santana please come forward to the podium? Nikki, you can come if you want to come here and shoot that way. Okay. I'm going to read that, and Ms. Villegas will actually hand out. And one of the reasons both Amelia and I there's 53 founders for the Cardona Club of America, and her father and my father were one of the founders many years ago, before our time. And thank you for being here to accept this. Centennial Celebration Proclamation 1926 to 2026, Centennial Celebration of the Cardona Club in America. Whereas for 100 years, the Cardona Club in America has preserved the rich heritage, traditions, and values of the people of Cardona Rizal, while promoting unity, service, and cultural pride among Filipino Americans. And whereas the city of Guadalupe holds a special place in the history of the Cardona Club in America as the early site of early gatherings of Cardona immigrants, and as a community that has supported the club for generations. Whereas in 1947, the first organized gathering of the Cardona immigrants was held in Guadalupe, convening a convention, youth basketball tournament, and fundraising barbecue for all community residents at Leroy Park. And whereas the first Cardona convention emphasized the firm principles of the founding fathers to remain united, help one another, and never forget the spirit of brotherhood among them. And whereas the city of Guadalupe is proud to present this centennial proclamation in honor of its founders, recognize the accomplishments of past generations, and inspire future generations to continue a legacy of unity, service, community pride, and contribution of Filipino Americans. Whereas the city of Guadalupe, in recognition of the Cardona Club in America's 100-year centennial celebration, hereby honors the club, its members, and all those affiliated with the organization on the occasion of a historic centennial celebration dinner and dance to be held Sunday, September 6, 2026 at the Filipino Community Hall in Santa Maria. Now therefore be resolved by virtue and the authority vested in me as mayor on behalf of the City Council of the City of Guadalupe, I do here proclaim September 26 as Cardona Club in America Centennial Celebration Month in the City of Guadalupe. So thank you for being here. Speech? No speech? Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Is Fernando in? Fernando? Is he? Come on up. A long speech. How you doing? Well, City of Guadalupe Certificate of Appreciation. The City of Guadalupe proudly presents this certificate of appreciation to Fernando Copado. Sincere recognition of your dedicated service to the City of Guadalupe and its youth, for serving as the liaison between the city and the Little Giants. It takes a lot to get out there. We appreciate you doing that.
He wants to say some words. Come on up.
I'll just say that I hope the city can get the program going again next year. There was 65 registrants. I think there was 12 parent volunteers. It was very nice seeing families be able to experience team sports here in Guadalupe, that it was cost them $0 to have fun and do something good. And I just hope that they can bring it back, because Guadalupe is an underserved community and the youth deserves an outlet to do something positive. And that's all.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Copado, for your leadership, for your dedication this summer. You brought joy to many youth, and he actually knew all the youth names. If they didn't show up, he was like, "Where are they at?" And so I really want to thank you for bringing joy to our youth this summer. They had so much excitement. They learned so many different skills. So thank you so much. And I know the audience wanted to give you a round of applause. So thank you again.
And we want to do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. The next item is presentation. Hear Youth Voices, a presentation of the results of Santa Maria Youth Listening Roundtables. Do we have? Okay.
Thank you, Guadalupe City Council members, for placing us on your agenda and making time to hear the results of our youth listening roundtable sessions. We are both representatives of All About Youth, Santa Maria Lompoc, formerly Women's March Santa Maria Valley. And you'll hear why we decided to shift our focus from women to youth. And even though these listening roundtables were held in Santa Maria, we know that they included young people from Guadalupe as well who go to Santa Maria high schools. And Mayor Pro Tempore Cristina Hernandez was at this event as well. And we thought it was time to present the results and that you would find them useful in Guadalupe. Next slide, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, you went one slide too far. Thank you. So this is what we're going to be going over in our presentation today. We're going to be starting with acknowledgements about our presentation, and then we are going to go into our original 2024 Youth Roundtable listening sessions, the what, why, when, where, who of how the original event happened. We are going to talk about some of the notes and limitations of the data that we gathered, and then we are going to get into the actual data, and then leave the open question of where All About Youth should go from here.
That was Ivy Cochran Murty, by the way. My name is Lotta Murty, and as evident by the silver in my hair, I am not a youth of any location. And the youth that participated in these roundtables were between the ages of 14 and 30. So I come to you and present today not as an authority on youth, but simply a messenger who listened to what they had to say.
And the acknowledgement that I would like to make is that although I am between the ages of 14 and 30 and I live in the Santa Maria area, I am not representative of most Santa Maria youth. I actually live in Orchid, not Santa Maria, and I am not Latina or native Spanish speaking like most of the youth of Santa Maria are. And so I do not want to present myself as an expert on Santa Maria youth when giving this presentation. I am just here to be a messenger.
Yes, we're here to present what youth shared with us. Next slide, please.
So the original event was roundtable listening sessions with Santa Maria youth ages 14 to 30, and why we picked that age range we will get into later. We had 6 adults, so adults being people who are over 30 years of age, all of them members of Women's March Santa Maria Valley, which is what we used to be. And we had 1 adult per table of youth. And then all of the youth were asked 12 questions in both English and Spanish, which we will show those questions on screen, based on a winter 2023 input session with Santa Maria youth and the public. And then those adult table group facilitators noted down the youth's responses in both English and Spanish. And then those results are what we are presenting today. So these are the 12 questions that were asked at the roundtable listening sessions. We're not going to go over all of them because they're very long, but they're up there if anybody would like to take a picture or record them. This is what we asked. We started with just identifying ourselves and introducing ourselves, and then talking about generally what we like the most about living in Santa Maria and what we like the least. And then we got into more specific concerns that ended up becoming our data.
So the reason we did these roundtable listening sessions is that I was surprised to find out the median ages of this region. The median age of Santa Maria residents is 29 years old. The median age of Guadalupe residents is younger at 28.2 years old. These are median ages, not mean ages, meaning that the population here is very young, and yet I don't think they get enough representation in our regional organizations, in positions of power, and in politics. And so we wanted to make their voices heard to those of you in these positions. And we thought by focusing on youth, we would also be able to find out about other identities and experiences, because of course age overlaps with other social identities. As Ivy said, most youth in Santa Maria and in this valley, right, are Latinx. And so we're also getting a good cross-section of the population ethnically, racially, and in terms of gender when we focus on youth. This event happened, the Youth Listening Roundtable sessions, on a Saturday, January 20th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It did not occur over all 5 hours. This was 1 to 2 hours of the event, and the rest was dedicated to other youth-centered events, a raffle, a tamale or tamal lunch, tamales from Beth's Tamales, and we did a lot of other activities as well. The listening roundtable sessions were the main focus and were approximately an hour and a half. There was also a resource table fair with local organizations there. You might ask why it has taken us so long to put together this data and present it to you. And it would be a very valid question. We are not a designated nonprofit. We are all volunteers who did this in addition to our full-time work and school. And so it took quite some time to put it together. But this is why we're going to, local organizations and presenting this data, particularly youth-centered organizations, so we can find out what's changed and what stayed the same since that time and since a change in our national political administration.
happened at Shepherd Hall at the Santa Maria Public Library. And when we originally debuted these results just a couple months ago, we once again did it in Shepherd Hall at Santa Maria Public Library with Beth Stamales again.
So let's start getting into the data. There were 28 participants total, most of them within that age range of 14 to 30 years old. However, we did have a few participants who were above the age of 30, mostly parents who had their own table, and we asked them the same question about their children and other youth. Not all the tables got to all of the questions presented earlier, and many chose to skip the first question on youth organizations and affiliations. No names were collected to keep the data as anonymous as possible. So that's why we don't have demographic information and affiliations on the majority of participants, but based on the rest of the information gathered, we can safely assume that most of the 16 were also high school students and Allen Hancock Community College students.
So as with any statistical survey or anything where you're gathering data, we do have some notes and limitations on the data that we gathered. First of all, our sample of people was very much a convenient sample. We did not go out and specifically curate a sample to perfectly be representative of Santa Maria youth. So the participants may not be perfectly representative of Santa Maria youth. Also, because of each table group facilitating their own questions at their own pace, not all of the table groups were able to get to all of the questions, especially the questions toward the end. And there's also just some disclaimers regarding accuracy. Once again, all of the groups facilitated their discussions in different ways, and the adult facilitators took down notes in different ways, and then those notes were interpreted and turned into data. And so there are some discrepancies between the original notes that were taken and how they were interpreted in the final data. And finally, it's important to note, it's in red at the bottom, that these results present the number of times that a key issue, concern, or organization was mentioned, not the number of youth who mentioned it. So when it says that like economic concerns came up 17 times, that means that it was mentioned 17 times, not that 17 youth mentioned it.
So the first set of data based on one of the initial questions is what youth participants appreciate most about living in Santa Maria. And on top with about 11 mentions, 11 mentions is resources, opportunities, and programs. Some were mentioned specifically, like the Santa Ynez Tribal Resource Center. This is not surprising if you consider that nonprofits and philanthropic giving and donations make up a large part of the regional economy on the Central Coast, which I've heard called a nonprofit corridor. And this is not lost on youth. They participate in these, they benefit from them, they and their families. And you also see their friends, people, and community at 10 mentions, and that often overlaps with the resources, opportunities, and programs. That's often where youth are making friends, meeting people, and building community. Next slide. Now getting into some of the concerns. First, we grouped together several under social and cultural concerns because they all fit. And the highest you will see there at 14 mentions is racism, racial discrimination, and self-segregation by race and ethnicity. And this was coming from predominantly Latina, Latinx, Latino, Latina youth, who also included Indigenous Mixteco youth. And so they found that there was segregation within the community itself, and that some chose to separate themselves from others based on ethnicity or based on race. This also overlapped with the 12 mentions, yes, of schools and education, including college, in the mentions of teachers who did not share students' race and ethnicity, being discriminatory towards them according to the perspective of the youth participants.
Yes, next slide, please. Thank you. When talking about economic concerns, the biggest thing that came up was housing and homelessness with 18 mentions. And then from there was jobs, employment, and farm workers' rights, which are very intertwined considering that most of the youth who came have family who are farm workers. And then 10 mentions of the cost of living. And it's important to notice just how intertwined all of these are essentially. And it's very interesting that poverty was only mentioned directly 3 times. However, all of the below are effects of poverty, and they are all very intertwined. Housing and homelessness and the cost of living is going to impact housing and homelessness and is going to impact jobs and employment.
And sometimes these were concerns that affected the youth's families or parents, not themselves directly. And of course, all of these are connected, as Ivy was saying. Oh, this one is yours too, infrastructure. Yep.
So infrastructure and environmental concerns was a very interesting discussion that we had. This is coming from the perspective of youth, many of whom could drive, but were not regularly driving because they could not afford cars. And so for the most part, they were either walking or biking to get to where they needed to go. And so some of this, when they're talking about traffic and traffic infrastructure, they're talking about it from the perspective of what they experienced through their parents. But when they're talking about transportation infrastructure, which came up 13 times, they are talking about making Santa Maria into a more bikeable, walkable city with more infrastructure that is friendly to people who can't afford cars, because that is a majority of the youth population. And this comes up with traffic because they also want safer roads, but generally they want it to be safer for pedestrians and bikers. Oh, yes. We also talked a lot about the Santa Maria Regional Transport System, the SMRT buses that come around, and talking about, because in 2024, those had been fairly recently implemented. And so it was a very interesting discussion to have. And a lot of youth found them to be a good idea, but found that they also were not reliable enough for them to use regularly.
Health concerns, of course, overlap with safety. And all of the specific health concerns overlap with each other. But the one mentioned the most was drugs and alcohol, with one youth participant saying that there had just been some overdose victims in their high school bathroom that very week before our roundtable listening sessions. And connected to that, of course, is stress, mental health, self-esteem and confidence, safety, and improved healthcare.
So one of the final questions that we got to was asking youth how they wanted us to take this data and then create change in the community. And by far the biggest thing that came up was that they wanted us to share these results with the city and county officials and local government, the people who could actually make change at a systemic level in the community, which is part of the reason why when we debuted these results, we were debuting them. Our event was part of the America 250 celebration that was being organized by the Santa Maria city government at the time. We did it in the hope that Santa Maria city government officials would show up at the event and this would put it under their radar. Unfortunately, it didn't. So we are continuing to go around. The next biggest thing that came up was sharing these with youth through schools and with community and community organizations, which is why we have been contacting and going around and giving this presentation in an interactive format to community organizations, especially those that work with youth, so that we can share those to community organizations and youth and why we are also coming to places like here at city council meetings, because we want to share this with the local government, even though we were unfortunately not able to get them at our original event.
Next slide. One of the things proposed in one of the questions at the youth listening roundtables, something that I had been thinking about, is having monthly intergenerational talking circles in different cities of the region, including Guadalupe, where once a month we meet at a local coffee shop, and both those over the age of 30 and under and youth and others come together and start to make connections and talk about local issues and how they can help and support each other. When youth were asked if this interested them, all parents said yes, they would be interested in participating in these. However, transportation again came up as a concern.
And so the question that we would generally like to ask to our audiences and to our community is where we should go from here as an organization all about youth. On May 30th of 2025, we had the All About Youth retreat, in which a group of our members and a group of Santa Maria youth who were not at our roundtable listening sessions went up to Camp Ocean Pines in Cambria, and we spent a day relaxing and getting to know each other and talking about what All About Youth could do for the community, because there are many community organizations in Santa Maria specifically, and we do not want to compete with those other organizations. We want to be able to work with them. So the biggest thing that came up when at that retreat was tutoring. The youth there said that the biggest service that we could provide to Santa Maria youth would be regular tutoring from either adults or college students who could help out students in school, because that's where they felt their biggest concerns were. We also talked about becoming a volunteer support organization and establishing connections between youth and the already established Santa Maria organizations. So the organizations that need volunteers and the youth who want community service hours and want to volunteer, we can help form those connections. And we also talked about being a quiet space for youth at local events. In Santa Maria, and probably here in Guadalupe too, there are a lot of community events. We do Downtown Fridays, the Pride Festival, and those tend to be very loud, very energetic events. And youth especially often need a quiet space while in those kinds of events where they can decompress. And so we talked about becoming that and setting up a tent where youth can go in and spend some time specifically decompressing from the very loud, very stimulating environment. But all of this has to exist within the context of the fact that we are entirely a volunteer organization and all of our members are full-time students or have full-time jobs. And so there is a limit to how much we can do, but we want to be able to find that nook of what we can provide to the community.
That concludes our presentation. We thank you for listening. We thank the youth who participated. And we are happy to address any questions, and that is also our organization's email address. Thank you very much.
I had a question or a comment. This was in Santa Maria. What about any thoughts about doing it here in Guadalupe?
Yes, certainly we could. We did do this with some grant funding at the time, and we thought about applying for more for this. But that's also the idea behind the intergenerational coffee talks or sessions once a month. And we could do that in Guadalupe Cafe here, for example, and bring together not only youth, but also older community members to talk about these issues and what needs to change locally.
Have you connected with the Boys and Girls Club in Santa Maria and in Guadalupe here?
We did. They were actually one of our tables at the event, but we should reconnect with them. So thank you for mentioning them.
How about Hancock College?
We did try connecting with them for the original event. We didn't get much of a response then, but now Ivy is a student there and I am teaching a class there. So another good time to try to get them involved as well. Thank you for the ideas.
They're actually had a high school class here at the senior center where they had classrooms. And to me, that would be a good place to interact with intergenerational individuals too. So because the classroom is set up still. And it'd be nice to have that as a setting. It's a city building, so it'd be easy to, to make arrangements. And then the school, of course, dealing with the school district to see what they have. A lot of work that you've done, and appreciate that and bring this to us. So any questions from the? comments
Thank you.
from- Thank you.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for uplifting youth voices. Now more than ever, we need to ensure that those youth are on the table. So thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item is a consent calendar. Judy, will you read that?
The following
Please.
items are presented for city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. Should a council member wish to discuss or disapprove an item, it must be dropped from the blanket motion of approval and considered as a separate item. A, waive the reading in full of all ordinance and resolutions. Ordinances on the consent calendar will be adopted by the same vote cast at the first reading unless city council indicates otherwise. B, ratify payment of warrants for the period ending July 31st, 2026 and August 7th, 2026. C, approve the minutes of the city council regular meeting of August 11th, 2026.
Thank you. Wishes of the council, would anyone like to pull an item for further discussion? Gene, any public comment on pulling any of these items? Do I have a motion to approve the calendar, the consent calendar?
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you all. Next item is management report, city administrator, information only, Mr. Trujillo.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, community members. So we're gonna get started with the park. That's the big one around the corner. People walking by and taking a look, you can see that a lot of the trees and plants are in. They received another shipment today because we did reject some last week. They started putting in a little bit of ground cover, some of that gorilla hair kind of barky stuff. So that's moving along pretty well. We're doing a final walkthrough and a punch list this week to see if there's anything that's going to need repair before the opening next week. They're going to start cleaning up later this week and paving the parking apron off of 9th. That'll be this week also, and then probably striping the parking lot around Monday, if they're not able to do it Friday. Again, the ribbon cutting is on September 4th at 12 noon. To go along with that, we have a meeting set up with Dr. Handel from the school because there is a big mural portion to go with this project. And that includes a whole slew of specific items that are involved, whether it be Japanese, Filipino, Mixteco, Mexican, all kind of blended together, that is supposed to highlight the whole culture of the community from beginning to, current. So we're going to try to work with them to get some of the teachers and some of the students involved from all the schools to come out and do some artwork on, I think it's 1, 2, 3 main walls in the skate park around the ADU that kind of pokes out. It's not something that has to be done before the park opens, obviously. But it's going to be something that takes a little bit more planning, and, depending on how winter is this year, with what's projected, it could push out into next summer, probably, before anything actually kind of gets solidified. The Amtrak, they're doing a lot of dirt work over there right now. A lot of the parking area, the underground work. They poured a lot of the curbs to kind of block it all in before they start laying all their base and everything. It's allowing them to do a lot of their underground work, and then continue to make progress there. With the Royal Theater, we kind of have a 2-page punch list, kind of just pretty much everything that was talked about before with the safety and cybersecurity, the location, weather protection, grading and backfill on the site, restoring some of the street areas that were dug up, and getting them all back to where they're supposed to be, the structural and building work, and on and on and on. We're still waiting on contact from the contractor for a cost. And we're waiting on the contractor to provide us with a July pay statement. So because of that, I don't have any costs for you guys tonight. But it's looking like we're going to use up everything that's left. That's kind of the goal, realistically, to use up all the CAC funds, and get that facility to a point that we can preserve it until we can actually go at this project the right way. And then on another note, met with Central Coast Processing. They are getting ready to start harvesting. So the smell is probably going to kick up a little bit. But to go along with that, they've been going through and sealing their buildings as they're able to empty them. They're throwing a lot of spray foam, filling in gaps. They got some people coming out to redo the roof, trying to seal their facility up. But what they're also going to do, and what they're working on, is they have that corner lot on 166 in Obispo in design with a planner. And then once that is done, they're going to start shopping that around for some sort of grocery and possibly fast food. Also, to go along with that, 2 weeks ago, was contacted by a developer who's wanting to bring a fast food chain to Guadalupe if they can find land. I pushed them to Craig over with DJ Farms to see if maybe they're willing to start developing some property out there on 166. We'll see how that goes. And then we were also contacted by a developer that wants to bring a hotel to Guadalupe, 50-room inn and suites, and a steakhouse. So Guadalupe is kind of people are noticing things that are going on. I don't foresee anything happening super quick, but people are watching. The hotel guy said that he scouted Guadalupe for 8 months before coming into the office and making contact. So people are seeing it as a, like a untapped resource, not really understanding how it hasn't developed into a local beach town like everything else around here. So that's kind of where we're at now. Any questions?
Please.
Did we find out if we're gonna have to send back any of the money?
No.
We didn't find out.
No, we don't have to turn back any money.
Oh, okay. So the answer is no.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Can I go off that question?
Yeah.
Are we gonna foresee this to be like a standalone item on the agenda, just the Royal Theater? Just because there's so many questions, and just to have it down, just give a full overview. So we're not going back and forth with so many questions, just give information to the general public, what this looks like.
I would probably foresee it as being like an informational item, if that's what you're meaning, versus something that gets briefed on every time.
No, it's informational. I think that's what the public is just asking
It will
about.
be a lot easier to produce information that way, versus trying to think of things that you guys, I'm kind of giving you guys a quick and dirty versus in-depth details. So something that's kind of maybe in the consent calendar or something just permanent. I could see that going in the future.
Okay. And then you shared that there's going to be some art going on at the Las Mujeres Park. Can you share information about the artist? Is that a local artist, or what does that look like?
No, that's what we're meeting with the schools to get the students involved.
So there'll be no artists to lay out the design?
No, we're going to try to get the school art teachers. Stephanie Krause has been mentioned as an artiste of high standards.
Raise your hand, Stephanie.
Well, that makes me happy.
Yeah. So in our grant doc,
Okay.
it specifies that we have to make contact with the schools.
Okay.
How we go after that is kind of I think it gives us 24 months to complete the artwork. So first step, reaching out to schools, and then I'll reach out to Roberto at the Boys and Girls Club because I think that's somebody that should be involved also.
Okay.
And
Well, I
then
do know the artist, Miss Cross, to be very respectful and to
that's-
meet the community where they're at when it comes to art, because I think it has to be carefully designed.
yeah, and I think this will be the first time community art. Well, besides the last project she just did on 9th Street, I think, since 166 was done back in what, the late 90s or
It was
whatever.
Paco Park that was done too.
Paco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the high school, Rigetti High School. So.
Yeah.
But there's talent out there, and the kids want to do things. So
Yeah. So that's in our future.
Okay, my last question.
Yes, ma'am.
You did share a lot of information, but there's not a written report. Can we have a written report at the next council meeting? Just because you shared information and it would be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
got nothing to do.
Yeah. It's just one more thing.
Yeah, there's a
That's
lot
all right.
moving. Just a little bit on
Throwing away, throwing around.
Okay, on ribbon cutting, we met with the chief, Roberto, and who else was there? Anyway, we talked about the ribbon cutting because once the ribbon is cut, they're putting up a plastic shield around, not a shield, but a fencing around the grass area, because the grass is sod and it takes about 3 months to mature. So they're gonna block that all off. Everything else is gonna be available. So go ahead, you wanna?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so the ribbon cutting, we have the ribbon, we have the scissors, the contractors bringing out water and snacks and that whole shebang there. Also, they are taking down the fence in the morning, the big fence that's around.
Right.
That'll be gone in the morning. And then directly after the ribbon cutting and they're gonna start putting in the cyclone fence to go around everything. And the way it'll kind of lay out is it'll go from the west side fence, the new vinyl fence that was put in.
Right.
It'll stretch from that. It'll run the whole grass line. It'll go around the barbecue pit area so that all that stuff is accessible. But it's keeping people off the grass because that is, like you said, that is the main concern. But all other park amenities will be open.
I think we were talking about, and Charlene is there with the Kiwanis Club, about doing hot dogs and stuff, but if the contractors are gonna provide snacks, that should be plenty, so. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Any further questions of David? Next time, Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and our community. See my report there as far as with the police, our internal mentoring and internship program has been pretty successful. You can see where our high school age, we got about 9 participants been doing the mentorship program pretty consistently. But then as far as the college age, the mentorship and internship program, we've been pretty good, about 16 participants we've been able to place in internship roles. So we're really focusing on a lot of our youth that are doing this. And then 2, you can see there where the Path Point contact me. There's 3 separate residential locations available for mental and homeless individuals. So we're trying to work with our citizens here that might need that type of assistance. I see in fire, just completed additional 38 fire insurance letters. I remember the council person talked about assistance from their office. So, but we're just want to make sure that we're pushing this. And we've been pretty good so far on the fireworks. Sorry, Phil, no one's really come to have a hearing. People have been coming paying. So we're pretty happy with that. And then 2, in mid-September, I think it'll be already set. Then we should be getting a donation of a fire engine. I took a ride in it yesterday. The other fire chief and I, we rode down Highway 166 just to 2 old guys ride in a fire engine, just see how it felt again. That was kind of nice. So
Where's it from?
Santa Maria.
Okay.
So
What
Santa
color
Maria
is it?
Fire Chief,
The yellow?
it's yellow.
Yeah. Okay.
So Santa Maria Fire Chief and I rode and
Great.
he's getting everything situated. So get that before their council. And I just went to go check it out and make sure that it's something that would fit our needs. And so we're looking at maybe in September, and we'll bring it back by council for to see if that's something that you would accept. So it'll be the first one we've had in years. It'll be newer than anything we have. So
And it's
that'll be a
old, probably,
plus.
yeah. That's good.
Just got through finishing emergency preparedness training 5 minutes before city council tonight at the Boys and Girls Club. That went very well with good people. We had only about 4 staff. The rest were young people, which I didn't expect, but that went off very well. So, and next one will be Wednesday, September 2nd at the Senior Center. So we'll be doing emergency preparedness training for seniors. That is my report at this time, unless there's any questions.
Any questions, Chief? Please.
With the new fire engine, are we retiring one or we'll have 3 engines?
No, we'll be retiring and using for parts.
Retiring the one that's red?
No, the other one
the other
that's
one's yellow?
yellow. That's in
Okay.
Fire Station 1 or 2.
And the emergency, let's see, the emergency prep training at the senior center is 10 o'clock, correct?
That's correct.
Thanks.
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, just to clarify, the fire letters that you're writing, is it because an ISO rating isn't cleared? Or
No, the kind of understand is they do not have to abide by the ISO rating. So
correct?
we've done everything we're supposed to do. ISO has revised it. We're where we should be. Everything is fine. And so now it's the insurance companies, whether they want to accept it or not.
I just
So-
see this, like, if they don't accept ISO letter, they're not going to accept your letter, and your money is time. And so I don't want to sugarcoat to our community that this letter is going to be effective. Again, I just want, this is a state issue, and I want to make sure that we're directing our community residents where they should be going moving forward, just because, we don't have a big police department.
Definitely, and so when I complete the letters, right now I'm being contacted more by insurance companies. So the ones that really want to work with us, I'll take the extra effort to try to get those things done. But the citizens that kind of come in, I want to make sure that I'm giving them something. So I'm giving them that information about the insurance commissioner and giving them the letters. I don't want someone to come to my office, then walk away with nothing. So I want to make sure that we're at least trying to give some kind of service, but you're absolutely right.
I think the best service is the right service, which is, again, directing them to the state. They
Yes.
need to ensure that they submit a complaint, or else their issue is not going to be addressed, and you're going to continue to have to write these letters, and it's going to do no justice because they're still going to have to pay that high premium rate on their insurance.
No, you're absolutely correct. So I direct them to Assembly's office, and hopefully some of those will follow up, because I can't make that complaint. Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions of Chief? Then we'll go to item 11, HR information only.
You want me to give hers?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just real quick.
Okay, so where we're at right now is we have the maintenance worker temporary positions on hold. We were looking for a way to fund those, as our general fund is kind of iffy right now. But I think we figured it out, so we'll probably start processing those here shortly. The accounting analyst has been successfully onboarded. The public safety positions are kind of on hold right now. We're trying to work through some things on that for the fire captain. We did just do interviews for the PCFs. And then we still have one employee who had already been on temporary total disability has returned, and one long-term still active. Also, open enrollment is coming up soon, and HR will be available to help personnel that need assistance in switching their insurance or however they do
I have a
that.
question,
Please.
and I think you can answer it. Those maintenance worker ones, weren't those going to be funded by a grant?
Correct, but it's a reimbursement grant, so.
Got it. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
We've learned a lesson. Okay. All right, we'll go to item 12, regular business, appointment to fill vacancy on Recreation and Parks Commission. David.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff and community. Is Juan here? Or you want, okay, I'm
There
sorry.
he is. Okay.
As you all know, we've had a vacancy in our Parks and Rec Commission for almost a year next month.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, no.
He didn't
that's-
show up.
Yeah. So that's, well, yeah, after Richard left. Juan reached out to us, which is very nice because I don't even think it's still flying. And he requested some information and we thought, hey, man, this is the perfect opportunity to get somebody on board. Some fresh blood, somebody who wants to get back to the community and be involved. With that, Juan is here if you guys would like to speak with him. We're recommending appointment.
You know, I just met one out there and you say you've been here for 32 years. You didn't look like 32. All right. Would you like to say something? Please. Thank you.
So formally, good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council. So my name is Juan. I've lived here for 32 years. I'm at the 34. What struck me to actually reach out to Juana, which I was directed to, was when I finished the leadership program in Santa Maria. So after that, someone asked me, "What do you do in Guadalupe?" And I'm like, "Oh, nothing so far." So that's kind of what struck me to go ahead and inquire and see what was available. And I'm kind of excited to learn about the city a little bit more and be involved a lot more, and also try and see if we can bring back some of those city, fun things that we used to have a
Right.
couple years ago. So trying to see what I can do to help make that happen and go from there.
All right.
Okay.
Any questions? Really tough questions at all? No? So we need approval.
I
Yes,
just,
please.
have you met any, our Parks and Rec commissioners, Emily Dreiling or any of them yet?
No, not yet. The only one I know from when I went to school is Joe Harris
Okay,
back in the day.
all right. Okay, no questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if
please.
you guys do choose to appoint, it would be recommended that the next council meeting, he do his oath,
Okay,
if that's okay with you.
so can you come back next council meeting?
Yes.
All right, great.
Or on Tuesday, at the Parks and Recs meeting.
Okay,
If he could do it then as well, so.
All right.
I mean, that's up to you.
thank you for reaching out to us. We need that, so.
Thank you for the
Okay,
opportunity.
All right. Item 13, I'll read it so Judy doesn't have to, I'm sorry.
I can make a motion.
You haven't taken any action to appoint him yet.
Yeah.
We can't move on to the next item unless you want to get
Okay.
a motion to appoint him.
I will make a motion to appoint
They're
Juan
swearing
Blake.
in, and okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you for
Thank you.
that slap in the face.
I didn't mean it that way.
No, you didn't. I know you didn't. Okay, item 13, amendment to section 8.80.030 of the municipal code, Guadalupe Municipal Code, chapter 8.80 vacant commercial property registration and property maintenance ordinance. Mr. Cinco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since this meeting seems to be speeding along, I thought I'd read this staff report in full, slow it down. I'm just kidding.
Sheesh.
Chief's over there. Oh, God. No, I wouldn't do that to you. I prepared the long staff report to provide all the information. If there's any questions about anything in there, I'm happy to answer it. This is a really simple issue, but it required a lot of explanation as to why we're taking this action. Somewhat to my surprise, when I was preparing the staff report, I discovered the reason why the annual fee, the annual registration fee for the vacant, I call it the vacant building ordinance. It's an easier, less of a mouthful than the real ordinance name. Why it was supposed to be based on gross square footage. And puzzling about that, I looked back at some of the early drafts of the ordinance that I still had in my folder somewhere. And I saw that staff had circulated the ordinance for comments, and that was inserted. It wasn't in the original ordinance that ours was based on. And I think it was put in because it made sense to do that. There are fees that are based on square footage, particularly some fire inspection fees. But when the chief brought this item back, or decided, brought it to staff in November of 2025 to actually adopt the fee or give the council the opportunity to establish the fee, I started seeing all kinds of legal red flags. And it turns out that it's not a good idea to base it on the gross square footage. For one thing, you still have to calculate all of the, as I put it in the ordinance, staff time. Where is it? Staff time, employee wages and benefits, inspection, supplies, equipment, and other related expenses. You have to calculate that, and then you have to do a calculation on the total gross square footage of the vacant buildings, and then do some math, and then that becomes a problem because that number is going to change if the ordinance is successful. So after realizing that, and looking at what other cities have done for this kind of ordinance, it's just best to base the annual fee on the reasonable cost of administering and enforcing the program. That requires a change in the ordinance, which is what's before you. The staff report says that when the ordinance is, if it's approved tonight and it's adopted on second reading at the next meeting, it will take effect on or about September 25th. I was wrong about that. It's another 2 weeks after that. Apologize for that error. And I'm sorry for the blank pages on the staff report. I don't know what happened there. That was formatting, and I didn't have any control over that, I guess. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Oh, whenever the ordinance is effective, takes effect, we will bring a resolution to the city council with the justification for imposing the fee based on those objective criteria, the staff time and all the related expenses. I actually had a conversation with our finance director about that in the context of our other fee stuff that's going to be happening. So that action will happen later. You don't have to worry about that tonight. If you like where I'm going with that and basing the fee on the reasonable cost of the staff time involved rather than some advanced mathematical way of calculating it, please approve the ordinance amendment. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I just remembered, I do want to address comment made in the one of the public comments from Gustavo Alvarez. He mentions in there that owners actively trying to lease or sell should be protected. That is in the ordinance now. It's never not been in the ordinance. If you're actually trying to lease your property, I mean, even if you, like the other person, Mr. Buenrostro, basically complained the rent seemed kind of high. Well, ordinance doesn't get involved in the private market concerns about the rent. That's supply and demand. That's not our business. If an owner wants to market a property and charge an exorbitant rent and no one wants to pay it, that's not our business. But if they don't list it for rent, that is our business. If it's a vacant building and it's just sitting there taking up space when that's valuable commercial space for the city and for a downtown community. That's the purpose of the ordinance, is to part of the purpose of the ordinance is to prod these owners from just sitting on the properties and taking no action because it's whatever, it's economically in their interest. It's not in their city's best interest. So I did want to assure people that if they're actually good commercial property owners and trying to rent the building, even if they want to, I'm not saying that Mr. Alvarez is charging too much. I'm just saying if somebody has rent that's a little high and no one wants to pay it, that's not the problem. Problem is not trying to rent it.
Okay, any questions?
Couple questions. We adopted the original ordinance as written previously back in 2023. Have we enforced that at all yet?
I'm gonna have to let the chief answer that because I think there was some initial enforcement.
Okay.
Like the first year it was, there was an inspection, I believe. But I'm not sure what's happened since then. It was not, we weren't able to charge the fee at the appropriate amount.
Because of the way it was written?
Well, no, because
Oh.
it was never brought to the council for
Got
one
it.
reason or another to establish the fee. And when that finally happened when Chief Cash finally brought that forward and I looked at it and did my job, I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Part of the reason I didn't spot it is it does make sense if you don't look at it too closely. But when the chief brought the staff report forward, staff had tried to find a basis, some other places that have used the gross square footage as a way to, and they all of it came from out of state and they have different law. So that was why I started looking into it and realized it's not a good idea for California.
Okay, so, and not to step over you, chief, but it sounds like we attempted to, but then we had to make changes to the ordinance. Is that correct? Based on,
If we want to get full cost recovery, yeah, we need to make change to the ordinance, and that's what this purpose is.
okay, and then I have one more question. You said that we will find out just for clarity, because it was, you'll tell us what the fees will be in a future meeting?
Well, you'll tell us what the fee.
We'll
will be.
tell you what it will
You're
be.
going to. I'm going to present, I'm not. Staff will present a justified estimate of the cost and recommend a fee. And
Okay,
the council can set it at that or less, not more.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Quick question tied into what Whitney just asked. If you're asking now to have this gross square footage language deleted, but at another time, you're going to come back, you'll come back and present a recommendation for a fee. Why aren't the two being done together?
You know, when I was researching this, I saw a city do that very thing. They had a fee that they didn't like the way it was written. It wasn't based on gross square footage. It was some other basis, and I can't remember. And so they brought the ordinance change and the resolution at the same time. And I thought, I don't like that. I mean, for one thing, how, you know, the ordinance has to take effect. I mean, the way they wrote it was the resolution doesn't take effect until the ordinance takes effect. So I said, okay, you passed the ordinance at the same time as this, or the resolution establishing the fee at the same time as the ordinance, but it can't take effect until the ordinance takes effect anyway. So I decided that what's the point of doing that? Why don't we just bring the resolution when the ordinance is in effect and do it that time?
So then if we approve the ordinance and did you say 2 weeks after?
It'd be more like 45 days from now.
Friday, whatever the time frame is.
Yeah,
Then you're going to come back with a recommended fee
yes,
or options for the fee?
Yes.
Okay, so there's not going to be a lag.
no.
Okay,
And I'll probably time it so that the resolution will be either right before the ordinance takes effect or right after. I don't know what I gave you the wrong date in the staff report, so I have to relook at that. And I will not let you down. It took a while to get to this point. And like I said, if I had waited to do the truth is we haven't done the calculation yet to figure out what the fee is going to be. And so I didn't want to wait on this part of it any longer and tie it all up in a bow. So that's why we're doing this now. And then while this is cooking, I guess, while it's waiting to become effective, go through the second reading and whatnot, then we'll get staff to provide the numbers to Eli so he can help calculate the fee that we need to charge for this.
Does this mean, can I clarify that means that there's zero registers?
Sorry?
That there's zero businesses that have registered?
I think they have registered.
How
At
many
least-
do we have?
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they've annually, I don't know if there's been any annual registrations because, you know, the fee that we charge. I think originally when this was done, we just went ahead and had them do it to register. We didn't worry about the fee, and then that just fell through the cracks for one reason or another. And then, but it's my understanding that we have at least one property has registered.
Okay. I guess just because it's 3 years and I think like once we do approve this, I want to make sure that we're accomplishing our goal. But with Mr. Buenrostro's comment, I appreciate it because I think there's like twofolds to our issue of bringing businesses downtown and how can we realistically encourage occupancy and economic development here in Guadalupe?
Well, I agree. I mean, the council approved this whenever it approved it, and I'm sorry that it hasn't gotten implemented the way it should have been. And I don't know the reason why that didn't happen exactly, but my understanding is that there's a desire to move forward with this now.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Any
Uh,
other questions?
yeah.
Gene?
So with this, if they're working on renting or selling, this does not apply to them. It's more in hence of
Well, at least the fee does.
like buildings, like for say the Basque House
Well,
that are just sitting, they're boarded. We know there's never going to be any activity there for years to come unless they decide to sell their land and someone destroy what's
well, that type of situation is what the ordinance is
For- is
intended
for
to,
those.
to focus on.
okay. So it has nothing to do with like our current commercial buildings that people are literally continuously trying to.
Yes, or
bring
if they're
people into.
remodeling them, if they're trying to change them, if there's a building permit
that's
application or
different.
something, that's all. I mean, and that could be spread, excuse me, that could be spread out over some time too. I mean, if, as long as there's something going on,
Okay.
we either actively renting it or trying to improve the building, then it doesn't even require the registration. At least if it
No.
does require the registration, then there's no fee charged.
Now,
Hmm?
we're gonna hold ourselves as a city. to
I'm sorry?
this- We're gonna hold ourselves as a city to the same standard for buildings that are not being utilized, correct?
That is beyond my purview.
Only because I've always
just
said
the lawyer.
before, I know, because I've always said before, like, we have these ordinances, but if we have our properties and we're not doing what we need to be doing as a city, how can we tell
Well, are we
our
gonna,
community to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right?
well, I mean, are we gonna charge the city a fee that goes to the city?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
We have ordinances and we have things and just like, that we're putting rules that we should as a city abide by the same.
If you want a
rules.
legal answer, the answer is the king is not bound by
I know
his
that.
own laws.
I know.
The city does not have to comply with its own laws, but
I understand.
that's a different issue than what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just even if we're, trying to at least.
So would you like us to publish our fine? Is that what you're getting at? or More
No, I'm just-
transparency,
I'm just,
right?
no, what I'm trying to say is, because a lot of people are gonna be like, well, what about our project we just had to stop?
Right.
I'm just,
That's
yeah,
That's
it's
out
just
there,
one of
yeah.
those deals,
From my experience in code enforcement many years here and in Santa Maria, I agree that's a common complaint.
yeah,
People who are getting singled out, they always say singled out, they point to a city building or something down the
Yeah.
street. And I would talk to the department, say, really should take care of that. It's making our job a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So I personally agree that it's a good idea as a practical matter.
okay.
I've heard from community members a long time that, we need to really start looking at economic development in Guadalupe. And I think this is just a small piece of that puzzle. It's not going to fix everything, but it's just one piece to continue to move us forward. And I think another piece is, it would be nice in the future to convene a roundtable with our business leaders, our entrepreneurs, those vacant lots, and understand what the real issue is going on. Because I don't know if we've gotten everybody in the same room in how many years. And I think in order for us to all move forward, it really is going to take the community, the business leaders, the entrepreneurs to be together.
Any further questions? Stephanie Cross has a request to speak, but I don't see her here. So is there a motion to introduce the vacant commercial property registration property maintenance ordinance by title only and continue the ordinance 2026-532 for second reading on adoption on city council meeting September 8th, 2026.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Phil.
you.
Item 14, future agenda items.
Can I just,
Yes.
with, I think, Councilmember Hernandez mentioned it, but if we could just, it doesn't have to be an agenda item, but with your report, David, just a, ongoing Royal Theater update.
Ask the council,
Please.
one of the items that's been on there, it's got my name on it, the social host ordinance. It's actually technically more of a law enforcement thing. I'm happy to do it if that's something the council would like to see come forward. Otherwise, I'd like to just drop it.
What is it? What's a social host?
Social host ordinance is basically a law that if minors are having alcohol at a house, the parents can be fined, essentially.
What does Chief think about that?
No, it's not. Well, we have an ordinance that addresses the parties, but this social host ordinance is something different. It's specifically for that type of situation. I mean, I don't know, there doesn't seem to be a huge need for it. Chief just
I
mentioned
do
there's.
know that Santa Maria does have it. And, unfortunately with the recent tragic accident, we don't know why those youth, were in that car accident.
Yeah.
This is kind of a topic that has been having a conversation around, and just having a family conversation of why not having alcohol in front of youth is very important.
What's the wishes of the council, to keep it or remove it?
I'd say keep it.
I say we're probably covered in a lot of ways and we don't need to get this specific, but I'm open-minded.
I mean, we can, I'm not asking that we move it forward at this time. Just, I was asking if we could drop it from the future agenda items or just leave it there. That was my question.
Take it out. Remove it.
Three.
So.
Is it
Keep.
two to two with one abstention? Okay, and now if it ever, it doesn't
we
mean
can
we
bring it
can't
back
bring
up.
it forward. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
now I can focus on getting the gift policy done.
Okay.
Moving my name from the future agenda items. Thank you for that.
Okay, announcements, council activity reports. Jean, you start with you. Nothing. Christina, I know you have something.
Attended APCD last month and SBCAG on behalf of the mayor.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. That's it.
Amelia?
Just a couple comments about the library. The packet for this month is Youth World Travel. And these are free packets for kids that are 8 to 12 years, 8 to 12 years old. And it's general information to learn about other countries. And also September is National Library Card Month. So if you don't have a library card, go get one. They're free. All you do is go down the library. There's a very short application. And if you're getting a card for a child or a youth, which is under 18, a guardian or parent needs to sign. That's it.
Just to mention on the senior nutrition services, the area agency on aging, which was in Santa Maria, is no longer going to be the area agency on aging, and that's going to go to Family Services Agency. And so in October, they're going to take over the meal program. So they want to make sure that there's no hiccup in services, meal services, and they're really getting busy right now. So the Family Services Agency is going to be the AAA, and they're going to start October 1 or thereabouts at the senior center providing meals. So that's good to make sure that there's no hiccup on that. So is there a motion to adjourn?
One motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, staff, and thanks